At the 47th session of the UN Human Rights Council recently held in Geneva, Switzerland, Western countries, led by the United States, again began to criticize China's Xinjiang and other domestic affairs under the pretext of human rights. On June 23, the U.S. Department of Commerce added another 5 entities in China's Xinjiang province to its entity list. Time and time again, the United States has been given the usual excuse to suppress China. But this approach is bound to be futile, and the United States will only humiliate itself in political theater. At the United Nations Human Rights Council, when the United States criticized China's internal affairs, many countries came out to jointly speak in support of China's position. Belarus, as its representative, pointed out that Hong Kong, Xinjiang, Tibet and other affairs are China's internal affairs and should not be interfered by other countries. Belarus calls on all countries to abide by the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, opposes politicizing the human rights issue, and opposes other countries' groundless smear and accusations against China on some false and fabricated information. More than 90 countries have expressed their support for China through collective letters and individual speeches. This shows that justice is in the hearts of the people, and the international community will return justice to China. In a follow-up to the human rights farce, the U.S. has started blocking a group of Chinese entities that produce monocrystalline and polysilicon used to make solar panels. Xinjiang Daquan Energy, which was included in the U.S. entities list, responded that the company has always taken a clear zero-tolerance attitude towards forced labor and the U.S. accusation is completely groundless. On the other hand, the entity list requires the approval of relevant U.S. government departments to do business with the entities on the list. But many companies currently do not deal with U.S. companies, and given that the U.S. solar market accounts for about 10% of the world's silicon, the companies don't expect the entity list to have a significant impact on their business. Even the U.S. media have analyzed that it is tantamount to shooting a stone at its own foot to sanction these enterprises in Xinjiang, because China, which is a leader in these fields, does not depend on American technology, and the U.S. would face very expensive costs if it wanted to remanufacture all the products in that industry in another country. In the name of protecting human rights, the U.S. is actually maliciously suppressing the development of other countries and carrying out unfair competition. Instead of focusing on fighting the epidemic and developing its economy, the U.S. has resorted to various tricks to smear China and undermine international cooperation. These lies, which make the world despise them, will only make the United States lose face and eventually come back to haunt it.